We go from Lee Chatfield, Speaker of the Michigan House, to Senator Mike Shirkey, Senate Majority Leader. Good morning to you, Mike. Appreciate you being here, Senator. I got to tell you, what an impassioned plea you made on the Senate floor yesterday. That was something, and I think you spoke for all of us.
Paul, a good morning to you, sir. A dose of Paul and a cup of Joe. Good morning to you, sir, and thank you for your compliment. Well, it was a very, very, very dubiously historic day in Michigan. April 30th, 2020 shall go down in history as a very, very serious and sad historic day.
Well, we're certainly in a tough position, and the governor finds herself in new territory, deciding to, if you will, go it alone on behalf of 10 million Michiganders. And, the initial edict or work that the governor has done has been kind of on a one-size-fits-all basis, and with their executive orders and such. You actually helped me, because you're on top of all of this, when we had Jerry Anderson on and talking about the great group of business people, both in medicine and in regular business, on how to get us back to work with the governor this past week. And you asked me a question which I actually asked them on your behalf, really, which was, once a risk-based regional model is in place, wouldn't that essentially eliminate the need for any further one-size-fits-all government actions like executive orders, etc.? And he did say yes. It can't stay one-size-fits-all.
You're exactly right, and I appreciate the fact that I could communicate with you on that short notice, but it was an important question to ask. Unfortunately, our governor did not respond to that, and has resorted to some things here that, again, I believe throughout history will be reported as some of the most dramatically unexplainable actions of any governor, not in Michigan, but across the nation. Our chief law enforcement officer in Michigan, with one of her emergency.
I'm sorry. You orders. Dropped off, and I don't know if you just dropped off to me or if you dropped off to our listeners as well. But I think what you were saying was very important. Could you just repeat yourself, Mike?
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, we hear you there.
Okay. Yesterday, the chief law enforcement officer of the state of Michigan broke the law. And from that point forward, we have to start asking ourselves the question, what are our options? Number one, I think it gives us no choice but to prepare our case and go to court. And number two, I think citizens across the state are going to wake up this morning asking themselves the question, so how do we interpret her laws that are unilaterally advanced through executive orders when she is not even following the law?
Well, let me ask this question.
Sure.
I'm going to make you governor now, instead of Senate Majority Leader Mike Shirkey. Governor Mike Shirkey, what would you be doing right now to protect the people of Michigan and also protect our economy?
Well, this is what I do. If I have enough time to give you 3 steps. The first step, immediately, I would apply the great work that Jerry Anderson and the Merck Group did and change all executive orders that restrict lives and activities to reflect the actual risk at the county level. We'd use the metrics that the Merck Group put together, and we would do that immediately. So what would that do? That'd free up about 75 to 80% of the state of Michigan to go about doing pretty much their routine business. And notice I didn't say eliminate executive orders. I said change them. Do that immediately. Step number 2, within 30 days, I would convert the fantastic work of the Merck Group into guidelines and limited regulations allowing counties to own and decide actions, again, risk-based and regional. We do that in the next 30 days. And in 60 days, I would repeal all the executive orders, call for the legislature to repeal the 1945 statute that has been the source of all the conflict. I would extend the emergency declaration called for in the 1976 law in conjunction with the legislature, and we would begin the transition from operating under only laws via executive order to operating to normal order legislative process. 3 steps: immediate, 30 days, 60 days.
So this original order ends, is it at midnight tonight, or was it at midnight coming into Friday?
It ended last night at midnight.
Okay. And
before it ended, she extended it. So that's breaking the law by definition.
All right. So her saying, the governor saying she used the emergency powers of the Governor Act of 1945 to extend the order and extended the state of disaster through May 28th, is where you're saying she has broken the law?
No, sir. She did 2 actions last night. One was that one, and that one's the dubious one that it causes the conflict. She also did the exact same thing within the 1976 law. And that's the one where she's breaking the law.
Okay. What's next?
It's not easy to understand. You're a very intelligent guy. You're on top of things. And even now, I'm having the difficulty, getting to the point where you can nod your head and say, okay, I understand. I know that it's complex.
It is. That's why I depend on you guys. I depend on the governor, and I depend on you guys. The governor was invited to be on today. I guess she'll be on tomorrow, which I appreciate. But I turn to you and Lee Chatfield, Speaker of the Michigan House, because you're on the front line of this. You're looking out for the people of Michigan. You look at that protest in Lansing, it doesn't look good. It's been on national news. We look kind of ridiculous with guys standing around with their guns. And I'm a gun rights guy. I own guns, and I believe we should. But when we see a bunch of guys with those guns standing in the Capitol, it's an unnerving sight, and it's not a good sight to be showing on national news, which of course the cameras are stuck on that, and people without masks, which I believe are very important still. I don't know if you do, Mike, but I still think they're important.
I absolutely think they're important to the protests. It is unfortunate, and I wish we didn't have to end this conversation because I've got a really important point to make.
Well, we're not going to end it. Bring that music down and forget about we'll get to the traffic in a moment. This is far more important. Thank you, Danielle. All right, go ahead.
Well, first of all, to the protest, it is unfortunate that that becomes the face of what we're facing. 2 things. We never want to take away the right to protest and redress government. I wish people would do it in a little more respectful, measured way. But frankly, it's actually a manifestation of the frustration people are feeling across this state. The legislature, and you had my good friend and partner in the House, Speaker Chatfield, on a moment ago. He clarified it clearly. We provided many opportunities for partnership. We provided many options for us to do that. And in every case, she declined them. And then when we asked, we stopped short of extending the emergency declaration yesterday, so it ended. She broke the law. She did not only send us a very universally recognizable hand gesture, single-digit hand gesture without a thumb to the legislature, she did it to the entire state of Michigan, Paul. The entire state of Michigan.
Ah, boy. So, in your own words, I think these are your words. Yes, they are, Mike. In your own words, on the floor, now the legislature must make a choice to either allow our governor to continue to govern by executive order or to trust our constituents to take the necessary precautions to protect themselves and their families without the governor mandating a one-size-fits-all stay-at-home order. I got to tell you something. I'm stunned at how many people get mad at me when I suggest we should be wearing masks, but I've been suggesting that from the beginning, even to the point where I was told I was an idiot. Well, I wasn't an idiot. As it turns out, whatever protection it gave the mask wearer, the protection was, just like in Japan, which is where I first saw it, the protection was for the other people. That means that... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry for interrupting you, sir. I really am. But you're exactly right. And I'm having a mask made up for myself, which says across the front of it, I'm wearing this for you.
Excellent. And that's the way it works. And that's the truth. But I'm calling them now never maskers who are furious with me when I suggest wearing a mask. And I just can't understand that. You know what I think of, Mike? I think of back when we were arguing about rights to smoke cigarettes or not. And one of the best lines I heard at that time was, "Your right to smoke a cigarette ends at my nose." Remember that line?
I remember it vividly, my friend. Vividly.
And right now, your right to protect yourself or not to protect yourself from COVID-19 ends at my nose.
You know what you just described? This phrase, freedom is messy.
It is indeed. Well, I hope we get through all of this. I really feel for the people who are going to lose their livelihood. They're going to lose their jobs. That has not sunk in with people as much as they're going to be stunned when they see the aftermath of all of this.
We are aggregating a list, Paul, of people who have not only on the brink of losing their livelihoods. We're aggregating a list. I have two personal examples that we won't go into right now of people who have lost their lives because of brokenheartedness, not because of COVID, not because of cancer, not because of COPD. Have been quarantined in hospitals, getting services and stuff. They didn't have COVID, but they were prevented from seeing their wives and their kids and their grandkids, and they're dying of broken hearts.
Wow. Anything else, Senator?
No, sir. I so appreciate you allowing us to share our viewpoints on your show. You are such an important voice here because you are reasonable. I try to be reasonable, but, sometimes it's difficult when you're dealing with another entity that I'm not sure it's in their vocabulary.
Senator Mike Shirkey, Senate Majority Leader, always a pleasure. We'll talk to you next week as this kind of blows up probably starting next week. Appreciate it, sir.
Have a good weekend, sir.
You too.